everyone, welcome to Watercolor Wednesday. I am Bonnie Krebs, creator of Watercolor the Art Impressions Way, and this week we're going to start working our way through all of our new 2018 releases. So there are 12 sets that we have just released for 2018. I think you're going to love all of them. I'm going to start out with this truck set and let me show you what it comes with. So it comes with this really cool vintage truck. I love it because it has a lot of rounded corners. So when you go to add color to this one, it's going to be really easy to show those curves because of the highlights that we're going to put in. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It also comes with a really nice small barn that you can put into the background, and this little fence also that goes in the background. So in addition to that, we're also going to use this little flower from the new mini flower set. So these are tiny little foliage, tiny little flowers that are going to be used in the background. So we need those different sizes, and I really love these tiny little flowers. So this one, and then one more stamp, or excuse me, 3 more stamps, and that is going to be from the new foliage set 3. So this is set 3, the foliage. We're going to use these 2 field grasses, so to the right and left, and then this tiny little vine right here. So really, we just need 5 stamps to complete this project. And let me show you one more thing, because part of the reason that I did this vintage truck is because it's hard to find those cards for the guys in your life. So when you're wanting a masculine card, it would be really fun to use this. So here's another option. This is just using sepia. So this is a little more of a vintage look, and all I did was ink every single piece of this image in the sepia, and you can see it has some green tints to it. It gives you a wide variety of color. This is just with 1 marker, so really fun to do. You can see I've used the grasses in here and the tiny little vine. I just added 1 more element, and that's the tree in the background, so not quite as frilly with the flowers, more grasses and vines in here, but you get the idea. So try that. This is really fun to do. Try these monochromatics with just 1 color. I think you're gonna really like doing that. Okay, so let's get going. I'm gonna show you how to put this set together. It's super easy. So we're gonna start out with the vintage truck, and we're gonna ink it in 2 colors. So the first color is going to be the African violet. So we're gonna go over this whole thing and then ink this all with the African violet. That's number 86. So just go over all of that. And then one more time, we're gonna go over that whole image again with the number 45. So this is the sepia. So sepia, we're gonna go over this whole thing. And I'm just gonna take a little bit of this back window off, this little line here, because we wanna put a lot of flowers into the background. So let's just kind of stamp this into the middle of the paper. And don't just, mash that into the paper. These lines are created to hold the ink, so there's a reason that the width that they are. And when you push too hard on it, sometimes you can get too much ink on your paper, and maybe that's why I know sometimes people will tell me that they're getting too much ink on there, it's just too bold. It's probably because you're pressing too hard on that image. So just gently press that image down onto your watercolor paper. Okay, so the next step would be to pull the color out of the lines. And let me just show you something really quickly, because this is so important, and this is a great example to show you this with. If you don't pay attention to these highlights. So these highlights where the circles are. So if you think about a rounded edge, if that rounded edge is facing you, that highlight is going to be on the front. If the rounded edge is facing above, that highlight is going to be on the top. So that's a really good rule of thumb. So for example, this rounded cab, that highlight is going to be on the top because this is where the rounded edges. However, there's also a rounded edge here between these 2 windows, and that's also going to have a highlight. These wheel wells, you see how these come around like this? That rounded edge is at the top, so we want to see that highlight at the top. Even this door has a rounded edge, and so that highlight now on the door is going to be on the front. So let me just show you that. And if you don't pay attention to that and you just pull this color out of the lines, you don't stay within the lines. Remember, we never cross over any parallel lines or horizontal lines. We always want to stay in those sections. You can see what happens here is that you end up with kind of a muddy mess. And this is never going to give you a 3-dimensional look. this is going to be a fail every time. So this is a great example to show you what I mean by the way that you pull the color out of the lines. There's nothing you can do to salvage this. This is not going to ever work. You can't get a highlight back in here, and you can see you've lost all dimension of this truck. You can't see that the wheel wells come out, and this just looks like a flat, awful picture. And it's the same stamp, it's the same markers, it's the same brush and water, same paper. Everything is the same except for the technique. Okay, so let me show you how to do this. So we want to pay attention to these rounded areas. So begin by pulling the color out where it's the darkest. So if the highlight is at the top, we want to pull the color out from down here and drag it to the top. And from down here and drag it to the top. You see how that highlight is showing up on there? The same with this one. So we're going to pull that color up to the top and leave that highlight. Don't worry about how big it is. You just have to show it. Okay, you just got to show that it's there. This over here, these little areas in here, you want to stay inside those areas, even if they're small. Stay inside those horizontal and parallel lines. This area back in here, this is flat, so we can add a little more color back in here. That's okay. Pull some of this color. See where the lines are double thickness? That's going to be more color in there. The back of the wheel, that's going to be a little darker. And you can see that this is starting to look a little more three-dimensional now. So let's pull this color out. Remember what I said about the door? That's a little rounded. So we want to see the highlight on the front. This here, see how that rounded edge is on the top? We want to show that highlight on the very top. And then let's come over to the window here. See this area, we want to see that highlight here, even if it's just small. So we want to see the edge along here, along the cab, and then we want to see it on the top. And really, this is about all you have to do. If you want to change the color of this truck, you can do that now with your palette. So you can add more color to it. And when you do that, you're going to add the color the exact same way as you pulled the color out of the lines. So starting where it's the darkest and dragging that color up to the top, to the highlight. And if you think that you've got too straight of a line here, just dip your brush in water and pinch it off and just soften that line out. So just soften it out. This is all so easy to do. And when you know the right way to do it, you're gonna have the most amazing results, I promise. Okay, and you can see the difference here now between this picture and this picture. And you can see how three-dimensional this looks. We're about finished with this truck now, and that took about 2 minutes. So super, super easy to do. Okay, so let's go on to the next step, and that will be to add our little flowers into the background. So this little bunch of flowers is from, actually I did one just like it in the new flower set, so flower set 2. And I loved it so much that I did a smaller version, and now I love this smaller version as well as the larger version. So it's so great to use and so super easy. So we're gonna put these flowers into the back of this, this truck. So I'm going to mask this off with a piece of sticky note, and I'm going to leave just a little bit of an edge so I can see where I'm at here. So I can see that the truck ends right here. So I don't wanna cover that up completely and lose my place. So I'm going to use 2 colors now. This is the number 20 magenta, but really you can use any color. And I'm using the number 72 green. And I'm only going to stamp this a couple of times. So just 1 and 2, and then I'm going to re-ink it again. So 2 colors. Let's go back over that again and stamp it again. 1, 2, and you can actually come over the top just with the edge of your stamp and get a little bit over the top. So let's ink it again. 2 colors. The great thing about stamping is that you can use multiple colors, and you can use the parts of the stamp that you want. So you can see I made it just a little edge over the top there. So we've got our little flowers into our truck. And now we're going to add water to them. And you don't have to get every single one of these little blooms. Just dab over the area. So just jump your brush around, go outside of the lines, That's okay. You can make some extra little dots in here. You've got a lot of color in this image, so you can pull that color out. And you can make this as abstract as you want. Just be sure to leave some white areas in there. And then go ahead and do the green part. And just pulling this color down. And you can brush some of this out as well. So easy. And how cute is that already? Okay, you can do lots of different things now. You can put this by a fence, you can put it by a pond, you can put grass underneath the wheels, you can do a lot of different things. So let's just finish it up here. I love doing the simple version. So this is that same little flower again. And you can use as much of these stems as you want to. Maybe you want to sit this lower to the ground. So you're just going to ink the very top of that. So again, you're going to stamp it a couple of times. Let's ink it again. So this is just 2 colors. And of course you can use whatever colors you would like. Ink it again. And just kind of put this wherever. There's no right or wrong way to place this, just however many you want. And let's maybe just do one more here. Just kind of back in the background. Okay, that looks pretty good. So let's go ahead and add some water to that. And we're gonna do it the same exact way. So we're just gonna dab, and you can bring some of this color over and around. You know, I think the more that you use these, the bolder you get. So this just builds confidence, which I love. And pretty soon you're not afraid to try lots of different things. And you know, remember, you've got a lot of color on your brush, so keep going. Keep adding those little blooms all over the place. It's so fun. And it also changes the image. You know, we don't want this to look like a stamp. So the goal is always that it looks like a watercolor painting. Always. We want it to blend together. We want to come out with a completed look that looks like a little painting. We don't want anyone to guess that this is a stamped image. Okay, so pull the screen down and kind of blend it together. So cute and fun and unstressful. Is that a word? Okay, so we've got our little blooms in here. Let's add a little foliage to it now. So here's that little vine. I love this little guy, so fun. And you can use bits and pieces of it. So maybe you just want to put a couple little ones in here, maybe kind of growing over the side. Maybe a couple in here. How about just one? And then maybe a couple over here. You can just put as much of this in as you want. Dip your brush in water, of course, and just dab. You know, don't be afraid to blend this color in, you know, that's in the cap. Don't be afraid to blend that in. And soften that all together. Okay, let's add a little sky in here. So we would do that from our palette. And let's just use that number 86. Add some water to it. Remember, when you're doing the sky, make sure you get enough water on here. And think about your image in a circle. So think about your completed image in a circle, and the sky does not go past that line. You're going to be way happier with how it turns out if you contain that sky within the circle. I've seen that so many times, and people really struggle with this, and it doesn't have to be a thing. It really doesn't. Just think about that imaginary circle and just keep your sky contained in that area. Okay, so we can make this truck now. We can say, well, I think we're gonna leave this truck white, so we can add some shadow to it in here. This area under the wheel wells, that's gonna be really, really dark. So we can add some of that to it. This floorboard, that's gonna be dark. And remember what I said about the highlight? You're gonna add the color where it's the darkest. So that would be over here. We can add some of it here. Don't overthink this. Just put this color on. But remember to show those highlights, you know, on the edge. Just like this. So fun. And if you want to add a little more color to it, you can do that from your palette and change the color of this truck. Easy to do. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think we are about finished. This image didn't take very long, which I love about it, and super easy to do. So one more thing to do, and that is to sign in date. 2018, and we are finished with this. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, and I will see you all next week. One more thing I forgot, and that is to add some field grass in here. I almost finished this project and didn't add these, and I love these stamps. So these little, this little field grass is so great. It's very, the grasses are very thin and airy, and so they make a great accent stamp. So you can add this in here just as much as you want into your image. You can even add some up in here into the little bed of the truck. So super easy to use. They don't require a lot of water. So just add a little bit, just like that, and really you're getting some really awesome texture into your image. So one last thing, I almost forgot to add that, and I wanted to get it in here before I finish this video. Thanks again so much for watching. See you next week.